what if I get it and I don't know what to do with it? Or what if I get it and people don't like me? Or what if I get it and I lose my friends?
There are people who will just take from you because they want to take.
And again, sharing stories, I think, helps people kind of think about maybe ways that they could do it, because somebody's probably going to go get gas. We send these out on Mondays, so hopefully they're not like on driving to the gas station because of the person the night before said, I'll go get gas, and you didn't. So now you're rushing on a Monday morning, but nonetheless. But there's
always that one person that does that.
No, I do it all the time. I'm sure I haven't talked to anybody who doesn't do that. Like, there's a lot of people who aspire to never be that person, but I always think, like, I know it says I shouldn't go more than 25 miles on when the light turns on, but we'll see. But now my car actually
won't hurt.
Yeah, my car actually tells me how many miles left, and I've gotten to single digits, not because I'm flexing, because I'm planning poorly.
Right.
But anyway, so it was New Year's Day, probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago, probably. It's been a while, but it's a day I'll never forget. But New Year's Day, I go into a gas station, and this guy looks like it is New Year's Day, and he was out on New Year's Eve. And he is, he looks a little tired, a little less than thrilled to be at work at the gas station. I walked in, I was just getting a water, got my gas, came in, got a water, and I was walking out, getting ready. So I go up to the register and I'm like, how are you, man? He's like, dude, it was a late night. And I was like, all right, well, I appreciate you being here. And I said, the good news is it's January 1st. We have 364 more days to make this year a great year. We have a fresh start. And he looked at me like I was a little crazy in the moment, but he said, yeah, man. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. So I get my water and I walk out, and I was like, have a good one, man. Make it a great year. And he's like, okay, cool. So I leave. And then as I'm getting ready to get to my car, as I'm walking around the building, he comes flying out of the building. And I'm thinking, did my card not work? Did I forget something? Right. And he was like, hey, man, it's a leap year. We have 365 days to make it a great year. That was a moment for me that guy went from hating his life, what it looked like, to being pumped about the year, because I was excited about the year. And just showing up and just kind of talking about hope and possibility. But it's just one of those stories that for me, it's like, I don't know how he went from not wishing he were there to being pumped about the rest of the 365 days, and how he remembered it was a leap year. I mean, there was a lot of thoughts that happened while I took 17 steps out of the gas station. But there's just so many moments of, and the thing is too, when you express kindness and these things towards people, to not get anything from them, people can tell. People can tell when you're trying to butter them up to try to get a coupon, to get a discount, to get a freebie. People know that. Right. But when you just show up in a meaningful, kind, human way for them, and that's the end of you could say transaction back. It's just human emotion and kindness and feelings. Then people often want to return it back somehow, but they don't know what to or how to. So they sometimes it's kindness back to you. Sometimes it's a coupon. Sometimes it's they say how much you made a difference in their day. But it just sometimes takes you going first. And again, you being human is probably the most important thing you can be, but also being aware of who you are as you go into the store, because that's how you're going to interact with everybody.
Right. But yeah, that lends perfectly to what I said earlier of the, people are really good at knowing.
Sure.
If you're shaking their hand, but you're robbing them with your other hand as you're doing that, people are going to know that. They're going to know if you're asking for a freebie. If you would have went up to the guy earlier and been like, hey, you got any Tootsie Rolls? If you do, I'll give you this money.
Yeah.
That would have been a much different interaction. You didn't do it for that you didn't even know they had that. You were just giving to give. And there's a lot of the scenarios like that. Like, for instance, me last night, I had went and spoke last week at our local junior high school, the photography class in there, and see all these 7th and 8th grade kids. They're 12 or 13 years old. They're kind of, they see someone who's doing this for a living. They're all, that. So I just bring all that down and I'm like, hey, I have a daughter who's in 6th grade. She's one of you guys. I'm her dad. She goes to school here. Let's talk about stuff, like actually interact and do things. And so I'm not just throwing stuff at them. I'm having them ask me questions, and I'm having them, showing examples of what I'm talking about, and then being like, how would you guys apply that? If we're taking a photo in this room, how would that be applied? And then they all seemed to like it. They all wanted to stay after this bell started ringing and talk more. So I took that as a good sign. And then I got a message a couple days later from the photography teacher, and he said that one of the girls that was in the class had talked to her parents and wanted to see about job shadowing me at a game. And so I was like, before we ended that class, I told them, if you are willing to learn, I'm willing to teach. So feel free to reach out. Obviously got to go through proper channels, talk to your parents about it, but I'm always willing to teach anybody who wants to actually get better, not only at that craft, but whatever it is, if I know how to teach it. And then last night she went there with me. We coordinated with the parents, and she came to the football game with me, and I let her use my big expensive lens and camera to shoot all the players on the field and do a bunch of cool stuff. And she had the best time ever. And I took a couple pictures of her with my phone, of her holding, the camera was about as big as her entire body was. And so, she's like almost struggling to keep it up, and sent some pictures to her parents that were there in the audience. And it was just a really cool time. And she was a really good kid, asking a bunch of questions. And it's cool to just see that and pour into that. And I wasn't doing that to get something from her. I don't know if I'm ever even going to see her again. I hope that interaction, the first interaction led to a second interaction, and she wanted to learn more from me. And if I can be someone who can help anyone in any scenario, but especially in that's what I do for a living. That's what my brain is always in that mode. So that's the easiest thing in the world for me to help with in terms of things to give. Knowledge. It's underrated in terms of how you can help people by just helping them with knowledge on a subject or real world, scenarios. So that was a really cool scenario for me getting to do that last night. And it's still like today I ran into a couple people, and there was comments from other people, and a couple people shared it and, did their own little story of how I've helped them, or how seeing me out there affected them. And that's not why I did it, but it's really cool to see that you have some sort of a positive impact on the people around you. And that only magnifies over time. Like we're saying, I haven't helped out any of these people to get them to post on social media about how great I am, but it does feel good to know that you're making other people feel good and helping other people in their life. You kind of touched on that in your talk as well, about your friend saying that, oh, you're grateful all the time, and you're going out and helping all these other people because you're selfish, because it actually feels good for you to be grateful and to help out other people. But it's just one of those scenarios where it never hurts to help someone. There is probably very rare scenarios where to genuinely someone who needs help and you actually genuinely helping them turns out to be something that is in any way negative.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I know there's people that there's givers and takers, and we talked a little bit about give and take, but there's givers and takers, and it's sometimes even generosity and kindness. And there's people who definitely aren't of this same mindset of wanting to see people. And so I'm aware that it's not as ubiquitous as I'd like it to be yet, but the only way it becomes more common is if more of us feel comfortable enough to share it. And some of this is with boundaries, right? So if you think about even in your own personal life and relationships, and how do you show up for the person, your partner that you get to have in your life? And do you still see them as a unique person that also has thoughts and feelings and emotions, and they're not just the role that they play in your life? It's actually the person that you fell in love with. It's It's how do you consider them, and how do you ask them real questions, and how do you show up for them? And like that kindness shouldn't be because you did something wrong, or shouldn't only be, right, because you did something wrong and you're trying to make up for it. Or you shouldn't do something kind because she'll get mad if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more around the why you're being kind, like you've just touched on, that goes with you everywhere. And you know, whenever we talk about success, there's just a little bit of this this fear of success that I could even own to a little bit myself. Of there's levels to everything, you know. And Chris Williamson talks about this, and with Alex, and they talk about how there's kind of like this natural, interesting stair step when it comes to your personal growth, because you're kind of around your group of friends and these people that are thinking like you're thinking. And then whenever you start to pursue and push and grow and learn, then you kind of outgrow the thought patterns, not the people, but the thought patterns. But then you're also not in that next circle yet of people doing what you're doing and where you want to go and have the quote unquote success and so on and so forth. So, but it's really like there's kind of like 33% of the people in each category of people like kind of pursuing something versus people who have what you're pursuing versus people who have no desire to pursue anything. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean just because they're not pursuing something, you kick them out of your life. If they're trying to take from you and prevent you from succeeding, then that's where I would say you probably need to set a boundary. And, you know, obviously family and friends, it's a little tough. But ultimately, it's a matter of how can I still show up for myself while I understand I'm going to outgrow some people while I succeed. But then also, how do I make sure that everyone else around me feels that they're still loved, they're still seen, they're still cared for, you know. And making somebody feel seen, I could probably do an entire hour monologue on what that means and like how I try to do that. And this is where the number one, I've talked about it a couple different times on the podcast, but the number one clip of any podcast I've ever done is that consideration is the deepest form of love. So if you're worried about how success might change you, think about how much you consider people now and stay true to that. There's a lot of fear of success because I wonder who's going to try to get something from me, because people will say that. People say when you make it, people come out of the woodwork and they want things from you and they want to be your friend to try to get something from you. They want to try to capitalize on your notoriety or whatever the thing is. So there's always that like unknown that you don't know about, but it's also like, who do I know for sure that's always going to be with me no matter what? Who do I know is going to encourage me? Who's going to be there to support me? Who's not going to take everything from me? So kind of anchoring in that, but also how are you going to show up today? Because that's going to be what you can rely on about how you're going to show up, regardless of the amount of success that no matter what you're pursuing, having a plan that you bring you with you everywhere. And hopefully that gives you more courage to take that leap, to take the chance to go do the thing, because you are who you are, and that desire has been put on your heart for a reason. Not everybody has these things. Not everybody has the desire to quit the job and go after it, which is great. We need people to do all the things, right? So you're not less than if you don't pursue it. And that's where I think, you know, having people listen to us when we're talking about going all in on the thing, it's a matter of just being present and going all in on the thing that matters the most to you and the thing that you love. And that's what your definition of success was in the beginning, was doing something that you love and getting paid in a way that you can provide for the people that you love, right? I mean, that's kind of how I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but ultimately, if you already have that in your life, maybe you take you take your foot off the gas a little bit about this pushing and pushing and pushing and side businesses and all these things. But if you want to go after the thing, then, you know, just think about who you are and what you are and how much you want to work. And because nothing comes without sacrifice. If you pursue everything you want, you're probably going to have to sacrifice some things. But if you never pursue the things you want, then the things you want are the things you're going to sacrifice.
Right. Yeah. We kind of had that conversation again the other day on the 3-hour trip home of give and take. And if anyone's listening to this, we're 45 minutes into this episode. Give and Take. There's a book called Give and Take. That is one of the most profound books that I have read. And by read, I of course mean listen to. Anytime recently, and every time I go for a run, I listen to a book or a podcast. And that one, I usually listen to books on 1.5 speed or 1.6 while I'm running, just so I can get through them a little quicker. That one's one that I slowed down and I just listened to it normal speed. That way I could make sure to soak up every bit of it. But it goes into it's weird to be a giving personality and think like a taker. And I feel like that book does a really good job of, that's real life. There are people who will just take from you because they want to take. It might be taking from you to try to get something to level themselves up, or it might be just someone who thinks of themselves as inferior and they want to take yours. There are different types of takers. There's different types of matchers, which is kind of the middle section. And then there's givers, and there's definitely a spectrum of each of those sections. And man, it opened my eyes a lot more. I'm pretty see the world how it is. I know I can point out a taker whenever I see one, typically within a first interaction of seeing them. But the spectrum of within each of those categories people would fall. And then you start recognizing that in people whenever they're asking you to do something, or they ask you to give, or it also informs you of how people see you because of the questions you're being asked from people. You know, subconsciously, they might see me as a giver and know that I would take time out to help the girl at the football game last night or whatever. So it also helps you inform yourself of the world around you and how your interactions are. I feel like if there's one book recommendation I would make out of all the ones that I've listened to and consumed, that would be the number one, especially for anybody in the business world. It's all personality, and it really doesn't have that much business stuff in it, but it is significant in the impact to me anyway.
Yeah.
I would also say you kind of touched on the integrity aspect again of being you no matter where you are. And that means also alone. You know, that's we've talked about this several times on other podcasts as well and dove way more deeper into it than we're going to right now. But being able to be alone with yourself and with your thoughts and with your feelings and getting to know who you are in those scenarios when you're alone and you hear all the thoughts that are running and you recognize all the thoughts and you don't just go do something to distract yourself from the thoughts that you're having. Or I feel like a lot of people really need to lean into that and do a lot more of that. If we live in a distracted world all the time, people drive and watch their phone at the same time, you know, sitting to eat with someone. You go out to dinner, you may only get with your friends once every 6 months or something. And there's always that one person that just doesn't put their phone down. Spending the time and being there and human connection, like you mentioned, that we need a lot more of, and we need a lot more human connection with ourselves. That would do a wonder as well, in my opinion anyway. What are your thoughts on that? I know we've touched on it a little bit on different episodes and stuff, but the distraction of the world and how that affects people, it might be the social media aspect, or, you know, you got to get to know you.
Yeah. Well, I totally agree that it's probably one of the biggest opportunities for us to grow as individuals is by recognizing who we are now, and then doing some personal, two different words that we've talked about on this show too, but personal agency. So this is who I am all the time, because what happens when we try to put on a front and fake who we are outwardly, when people see us, when we're around other people, but then we act and behave in a different way in our own homes, it creates this lack of confidence, lack of sense of self-awareness, lack of discipline. It creates a lack of everything that you actually need and want, no matter what you're doing in your life, even if you're not pursuing something else. So it's this deep sense that we know who we are all the time. Like, we spend every minute with ourselves. However, when we say distraction is a choice. Distraction is not like my phone can be off. It can be on airplane mode. I can have notifications off. I can turn the ribbons off. So I've learned to go to my phone when I want to go to my phone. I've learned that it's not something to where I'm always responding to every ding, every message that goes off, every ribbon, because I'm one of those people, of which I know there's going to be two types of people who don't care that there's 100 notifications they haven't looked at, and the people who can't handle that one is on there that they haven't looked at, even though they know it's not anything they need to pay attention to. It's just the fact that they don't like the number, the little small number next to an app, right?
Right.
But the thing is, it's like taking back control of how are you feeling when you're doing that. And maybe if you feel like you're feeling alone or lonely in a moment, so you go to social media. This is where I want to talk about not stopping the habit of going to social media. I want to change that habit to most of the time when we go to social media, we're yearning for connection. Most of the time. Sometimes you're looking for a friend's post. Maybe you're going on to see what Bryan's doing, or maybe you're doing something. But more often than not, even that effort in the brain is seeking connection, human connection. But these days we're busy. Like our lives change. We're not always around people. I like a lot of my friends don't live where I live right now. And so I don't see a lot of my friends every day, but our phones that we're giving like the problem title to could actually be the thing that helps you build a connection. And so when you find yourself doom scrolling on social media, you're just going and you're looking and you're getting frustrated because people are posting stuff that you hate seeing and all that. Like that's a choice you're making. Nobody's doing that for you. But also when you have a moment, when you find that you're just scrolling to scroll, you're really like, who can I connect with? Who can I connect with is really what you're trying to do. How can I get the dopamine rush of agreeing with somebody and liking it? Because then you also give them the dopamine thing. So one of the things I've been doing now as well is I don't go to social media to do a lot of the scrolling. I go to support people that are doing some things, and I try to go to see what other people are doing for inspiration. But when I recognize that I'm doing it out of boredom, if you will, it's really because I'm wanting connection. So I may send a text message to one of my friends. It does the same thing, but what it gives you is so different. And we need human connection, and there are so many ways to do it. And so maybe you send a message of, how are you doing? Maybe you think about who's going through something, who just started, like one of my good friends just started a new job. One of my other friends, he's having a whole bunch of home improvement projects. And I'm like, how are things going with the house? He has a new baby. How are things with the baby? Like there's so many ways for us to build connection in a positive way, still using the same device. But being self-aware of, if you find that you're distracted, and this is something that's really powerful for me, and I have to check myself on this too. If you find yourself lacking a sense of purpose, you will be distracted by pleasure. There's a time for that. There's a time to choose pleasure, to sit and watch your favorite TV show, to whatever you want to do, right? But if you find yourself not doing that in balance, it's not because you're not disciplined. It's not because you're not capable. It's not because you don't have goals. It's because you forgot the reason why you had the goal in the first place. And you don't feel like this deep sense of what I'm doing actually does matter. Because what happens when we don't do the thing, we're teaching our brain that, yes, it didn't matter that I didn't do it, but it also doesn't matter that I do. So then people just don't take the action. And then like, what'd you do this weekend? They're like, I literally just watched TV for 12 hours a day, both days. And I say, is that what you planned on? How did that make you feel? And they're like, I felt terrible. I felt like I wasted the weekend, all these things. Just because they didn't have an intentionality and a purpose on the day. So that's why I wake up every day with this deep intention of a to-do list, but also a purpose list. How can I show up for somebody? What can I be doing to show people that I love them, that I'm grateful for them? How can I, whatever the thing is, because then I don't find myself as distracted by these things that aren't adding to who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm. That's just living a purpose driven life, you know, any finding your purpose is one of those things that you do when you sit with yourself and feel your feelings and hear your thoughts and listen to your thoughts. You'll figure out what actually gives you purpose and what actually distracts you from that. There's people that go crazy into this and do like meditation, and we've talked about there's different levels of that. It doesn't have to be you sitting in silence for 30 days. Meditation can be whenever you wake up in the morning, don't immediately grab your phone and just sometimes I will do this. Like I usually get woken up by an alarm because I'm not an early person and I got to take my kids to school. But sometimes I'll hit the snooze button to make sure that I don't fall back asleep. And then I'll just lay, and I got Mary here beside me, and I'm comfortable in my bed. And I just think of like, what all is going on? What are the thoughts that are coming? Like, recognize the thoughts that come to your head.
Yep.
I've heard it kind of said as you have a stream of thoughts that are coming across your brain, in and out, flowing across. Just recognizing and taking the time to sit there alone for a minute and recognize what thoughts are actually coming into your head without you having to think of something. That'll tell you a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
If you just recognize those thoughts. And for me, a lot of the time now, we're in the season of doing. We've been doing for several months now. We're starting to wind that down a little bit. Intentionally, living intentionally, getting a little bit on the other side of that couple months of go. And me, a lot of the times it is like, what is the first priority today? And figuring out what my day is going to look like, figuring out, my kids, like taking them to school. What do I need to do for them? What do I need to do for Mary? Sometimes she's had some health complications and things over this past year or two. And, every once in a while I'll have to do something, take her somewhere, do something with that and all those priorities, and knowing what those thoughts are. Like, how can I be there for her? How can I be there for the kids? What do I need to do to make my day a successful day? And recognize those thoughts. Whenever I'm not in the crazy busy season, it's normally a lot different of thoughts that pop in my head. It's a lot more of like, what can I do today? Like outside, can I go for a run today? How far can I run today? Like those are the thoughts that pop into my head a lot. Yeah. I'm a very driven, I'm going to go do stuff person though. So that's how my brain is that's kind of my default. What can we do? How can we do it? What can we do better in all the aspects, personally, professionally, all the things. So that's my kind of default stream of thoughts of what can we do? What can we get into today? Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's cool to just recognize that. And I don't feel like a lot of people do that. And that alone, if you do one thing that I'm suggesting for you to do, it's just sit alone and recognize what thoughts you have. If you are in a negative headspace, recognize what those thoughts are. Mm-hmm. Become more aware of those thoughts, because that is a pattern, and you can break a pattern of thoughts. You have to intentionally do it, but that's probably a topic for another day, because that can get there's a million different things to talk about within that, but recognizing your own thoughts is like a game changer for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned kind of your routine a little bit. One, I think it's important to kind of share some of the things that we're doing, just because if it works for us, it may work for somebody else. And if there's somebody out there saying this is the best way and this is the only way to do anything, they're probably more of a taker than they are a giver. I'm just sharing.
And then they're like, oh, hey, buy my mastermind. Also, correct. It's linked in my bio.
Yeah. Ultimately, I just want to give everybody, even when I get on stage, I say the same thing. I say, listen, I'm going to share some ways that have worked for me. They may or may not work for you, but I'm just sharing what works for me. And this is where some of that, getting back to some of the rooted of the episode as far as like success and changing us and so on and so forth. But it's also this idea that I'm creating a set of habits that, one, help me be at my best for the people that I'm the most grateful for. So I wake up now. I didn't used to do this, right? So I'm learning and growing just like everybody else, just like everybody listening. I didn't used to do these kind of things. I'm a morning person. I don't even wake up to a sound of an alarm. I have there's a device called a hatch, and it is like a half moon shape, half circle shape. I call it a moon because of what it is. But it's a way to go to sleep. It plays sleeping sounds if you want that. And then it also does a sunrise wake up. So I wake up at 4 a.m. So right now my circadian rhythm's all out of whack because the sun's not up at 4 a.m. This thing actually slowly introduces light into the room. And I'm a very light sleeper. And so I wake up to that. And now most of the people listening are like, yeah, TJ, that's for children. And you're right, it is. But it's also for humans. And that's why if it's healthy enough for a baby, I'm going to give it a try. But the reason why I say that is you're different than I am, and I'm different than, I wake up at a different time, but I used to wake up, shot out of a cannon. I was on my phone creating content within the first 6 minutes of my day. I mean, all these different things. And then I just listened to Tony Robbins. I listened to, a lot of other people, and they talk about spending 30 minutes in just with yourself. And that's been probably one of the most profound changes that I've made in my life. And so I wake up, yes, I'm still shot out of a cannon physically, mentally, but I drink 12 ounces of water, because I read that it reduces your cortisol because your stomach has a bunch of acid in it. So I drink 12 ounces of water immediately. Yes, I have it next to the bed. Yes, I like cold water, not ice cold water, right? So like all the things that people are probably judging right now. So I drink that. And then before I put my feet on the ground, literally, I just sit on the edge of my bed and just give thanks. I think about the people that I'm grateful for. I just think about how I'm feeling in general, just pause for a second. And then I hear my dogs hearing that I'm awake. And so I know I'm on dog dad duty immediately. But I go let my dogs out. But I spend the first 30 minutes not even looking at there's no electronic device anywhere around me for 30 straight minutes. Sometimes it's just sitting outside in silence. Sometimes it's sitting in the sauna in silence. My meditation is being present of self. It's not necessarily sitting Indian style with my hands out and humming and all the things that go along with meditation. We've talked about meditation a lot here. But it's being with myself because, like I said earlier, and like we've been saying, we take ourselves everywhere. And so I want to be making sure that I'm not creating cognitive dissonance where I say I'm something or I say I want something, but I'm not actually aligning to it. I give myself grace. I hold myself accountable, all in this 30 minutes. Sometimes I just stretch, but I'm not externally stimulated by anything. And I know that's probably the idea that a lot of people, man, like they would love that, but they have a lot of external stimulation. So maybe it's not 30 minutes, but can you just not be on your phone checking something? Maybe that's your new habit that helps you be more still. And we've talked about stillness a little bit too, which is, I think, a whole nother episode as well. As we kind of stack episodes here on each other. But yeah, so really kind of trying out some of these things. Just try to figure out something for yourself so that you feel more confident in kind of who you are as a person, and like how you can make an impact in the world. Because if you go out to the world after you've done the inside work, you're going to interact with the world differently. And if you're carrying frustration and stress and anxiety, don't beat yourself up for it. Be in it. And that's where the thing is, I don't want to numb or push down frustration and anxiety and worry and any of that. Like the things that you don't address and the things you ignore are the things that you're deciding to keep. So I feel all sorts of range of emotions. I just do something with them whenever I feel them. And like you said, it's important to feel all of your emotions because it allows you to kind of check in, like, why am I frustrated right now? Something I can control, something I can't, something I should move on from, something I need an apology that I'll never get, like whatever the thing is, but honor that. But as soon as we're like, oh, that's stupid, I shouldn't be frustrated, we're not honoring that. And then we're just going to keep the frustration. So as you think about how do you want to make an impact on the world, how do you want to show up for the people when you strive for your success, or maybe you are in your state of success, How do you want to be that person? And how do you, if you're frustrated that you're not showing up for the people in your life the way that you want to, if you feel like they get the rest of you and not the best of you, when you're exhausted, when you get home from work, you're snapping at them, all of that is in your control. And it's just understanding why. Do you need a couple minutes in the car of silence? Do you need something separate, right? Something different. I use NuCalm. So Ben Nemtin shared with me this app called NuCalm, NuCalm, and it has like sleep sounds. It has like get you jacked up and excited sounds. It has focus and flow state sounds. It has power nap. But I'm just curious all the time. I'm like, what are people doing? Because I'm going to be, traveling a lot and just trying to figure out how do I sustain myself so that I don't show up on E for me, not just for other people, because I can't fake E, right? You can tell when somebody's on E. So I'm trying to figure out how can I then, like in the moment, and this is also another little tangent here. I used to have a drink every once in a while with friends, or like after a long week or something, like it was just kind of a natural reaction to have a singular drink. I, don't get drunk or anything, but I paused and I just decided, when you talk about purpose-driven life, I've decided that I am not going to drink at all because I want to be ready and able to show up if anybody needs me. And if somebody calls me and needs me to be a meaningful, intentional ear for them to listen to, I want to be at my best self for them. And that thought right there, no desire, no thought, I have no second guessing, because I don't know if somebody's going to call me. You may call me in a moment and say, TJ, I need you in Lebanon. I don't want to say, I wish I could, but I just finished a drink. And I know it sounds silly, but a lot of times it's like shaming yourself to stop a habit. Infuse the purpose. Like I don't even get tempted now because of that.
Well, you also wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So
yeah,
if you are going to drink, that makes that kind of hard as well. So
yeah. But I'm just saying though, it's like I'm just, and the stories that you shared, and I'm just trying to get to the point where people can see we are this much purpose away to defining success for ourselves, to living the life that we want to be living. That if you have that thing inside of you, it's like, I know I'm meant for more. I know I want to do more, but like, what if I get it and I don't know what to do with it? Or what if I get it and people don't like me? Or what if I get it and I lose my friends? Just attach purpose and meaning and connection to more of what you do, and the habit will feel more like something that you're excited to do. It'll be easier than the obligation and the discipline and the sacrifice and all these negative in the brain words, but just thinking like, you know what, it's going to matter if I do it. So I'm going to make sure that I do, and keep the important things as the important things. As you define, as we wrap up, because I can see our time, but as we wrap up, kind of thinking about defining your own success, not based on Bryan's, not based on mine, not based on anybody else's, and not judging and not hoping you look successful. You feeling successful is a lot more impactful than looking successful. Give yourself credit for how you show up for the people in your life, because maybe that's your definition of success. If you have a job that provides for your family, that allows you to sit and relax and enjoy time with them, that sounds pretty successful to me. It's all different for everybody, but you owning yours by you knowing yourself first, being still, being silent, not having your phone with you. All of these things will help you have more confidence in yourself as you go on this journey of success, whatever that means for you. But just know that that journey that you're on is meant for you. It may feel a little tension every once in a while, but you're meant to face that intention. It's meant for you. It's not happening by accident. It's happening by plan. It's happening by all the things you've been doing. Like, just pay attention to how you're feeling more often instead of numbing so many things. Lean into the discomfort and then go forward in purpose.
I agree with everything you just said. The kind of root that we established at the beginning of this was how people change as they get successful.
Yeah.
Or if it has changed you or your opinion of success. And after an hour and 10 minutes of us talking, I still feel the same. You know, like you just mentioned success is a journey. And we're on this journey. I'm on my own journey of the journey, and you're on your own journey of the journey. thankfully we have this chapter where we're walking alongside each other and helping each other be more successful. Those are also chapters, you know, like, I don't know where I was going with that. I guess it's not a moving target.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you wake up every day and you feel successful, there's only, and I'm glad that I have this thought whenever I wake up of what do I get to do today?
Yeah.
And I'm not scared of the day, and I'm not hoping that the day would be something it isn't, because I'm living in where I was working at a factory before. I woke up literally every single day wishing that I could do something else.
Yeah.
And then I put some purpose behind it, figured out what I wanted to do, and then went after it. The purpose behind what you're doing, that makes all the difference in the world. Now I get to wake up and I get to have my fiance next to me, and I get to have the dogs that sometimes are a little frustrating, that think they need to sleep in between my legs in the bed. But would I trade it for anything? No. You know?
Yeah.
I got the kids. I get to take them to school every day now. I used to have to leave the house before anybody woke up and come back to the house after everybody went to sleep. Now I get to spend every single morning with my kids, take them to school, drop them off, tell them to have a good day. What else do I need to be successful, really? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm inspired by that, honestly, because most of the time there's so many other monetary things that people try to attach success to. And, we don't necessarily, and the last thing I'll just say is, we don't have to have everything around us change for us to change the way that we see everything around us. And if you at one time were excited about the life that you now have, you were excited about pursuing it, and you still aren't happy or feel successful or fulfilled or at peace, whatever word you were pursuing, I'm not saying change everything, but I'm saying start with reflecting. And are you now frustrated and disgruntled with the things that you prayed for, things that you wished for, things that you worked hard for? Because maybe the change that needs to happen is within you, so that you then put on a different set of lenses to look at the world that maybe you worked really hard to create, because you take you with you everywhere. So again, like I said, you don't have to, the world doesn't have to change around us for us to change the way that we see it. And once we change our mindset, we can change our life. So,
right.
But Bryon,
I used to literally tell Mary, one day we're going to have a house that has a backyard with a fenced-in backyard. That used to be our one day. I said that for years. And then one day happened. And then ever since then, it's been a rocket ship. And I feel like the mindset behind it is leading to more success, rather than me going after getting $500,000 or doing some sort of monetary thing. I've achieved my dream. My dream was to have a family, and to have a family that has a house with a fenced-in backyard so our dogs can run around and do all the things. That is success. Everything else is icing. That's the cake.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad for you, proud of you for doing everything you've been doing. This is well before I got the chance to meet you and know you, and also inspired by how you've stayed true to you. Even though you've achieved success, you still pursue more, which I think is also important for people to hear. Is not that the goalpost has moved. You're planting more things in that house, in your dream of success. You're living in that dream while you pursue everything else, while not losing the vision of you living your dream. And, when you wake up, and you just said get to like 10 different times about your day now, and we're one choice away, we're one recognition away, we're one moment of reflection away from authentically seeing our lives as a get to instead of a have to.
Right.
So, well, as we wrap up again, Bryon, I just want to say thank you. I know normally we don't close these like this anymore, but we're going to do it this way. But I just appreciate you inspiring me, helping me see even more what's possible, encouraging me, showing up for me, you know, and you coming with me to a keynote and recording and creating that blog and doing everything that you're doing and tweaking things with me along the way. Little do you know, well, you probably know a lot, but it's actually one of the things that actually fans my flame, because I want to prove you right for taking a chance on me, because you are taking a chance on me, having me tag you in everything that I do. And I take that seriously, and I want to honor that. And I want you to be proud that we're working together and making an impact the way that we are. And I already feel that way towards you, obviously. So just, I appreciate you showing up for me, showing up for everybody that gets to enjoy all these podcasts, and then obviously all the videos and things you're creating. You're creating memories for people that are going to last a lifetime, and the heart that you're doing, it's going to make just as much of an impact as the actual things you're creating for people. And I'm grateful for however many chapters I get to have you in my life. I'm grateful for that. Always remember it, like we said earlier. We'll always remember kind of who helped us along the way. And I don't know about always and never and forevers, but I know for right nows, and that's where I live is the right nows, and how can I show up for the best and never take anything for granted. So, and I appreciate you doing everything you do and making the world a better place by being the person you are.
Same. You do a lot for a lot of people. I don't know if you even recognize at this moment how many people you are positively affecting every day, and that it's always good to be on the mountain, tying back to our last episode together with those sorts of people.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we're going to ever not be on a mountain or a similar mountain, but you know, our paths of success might take us in different directions at some point in life.
Yep.
But no matter what, feeling is mutual. I'm always going to be there helping you as much as I can, or cheering you on as much as I can if I'm not the one helping you or doing whatever. So feelings mutual. Hopefully everyone still listening to this episode feels the same. And I can't wait to see what's next for you, but for both of us.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
Me too, man. All right. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Till next time.
Till next time.